Good morning. Have you ever heard of slippage? Yesterday, I was going to do a transaction with a stable coin into Ethereum, and the slippage was 3% plus, right? I tried to wait around. I don't know what was going on. It wasn't a substantial amount, but there was slippage of plus 3%. So if you don't know what slippage is, that is when you have one token and you're going to swap it for another token, right? So that means you sell one and you purchase the other. In the process of selling this one, you drive the price down and you drive the price up of this one, right? So that indirect cost is called slippage. And slippage, a lot of the times, can be more costly than trading like Ethereum and or Uniswap fee, right? Well, so I wanted to do a transaction with about $10,000 and the slippage was over 3%. So if you do the math on that, I think it was 3.5% roughly. That's $350 of slippage. This is the invisible cost that people don't see. And I didn't want to do that. And I tried multiple different ways, swapping into something else and then into something else to see if that would save me money. And it was extremely expensive to do so. So then I decided to take a look at Curve. I've looked at Curve before, curve.fi. I've never heard of it before. And it was a different story. So in this video, I want to take a look at Uniswap and then I want to take a look at Curve, so that hopefully you can get an understanding of the differences between these two. And think of Uniswap or Curve as tools in your toolbox. And if you ever do like construction or home renovations, or maybe you like to work on your cars or something, you know that you might have a boatload of different tools in your toolbox, but you don't use all your tools all the time. Where appropriate, you take the tool that should be used for that job so that you can get that job done properly, right? Well, that is how I think about Curve. So without further ado, if this is your first time here, what's Gucci? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to see you. If anybody has any thoughts or questions or anything like that, you can leave them in the comments and we'll take a look at the comments at the end of the show. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out the links down below. You can check out Twitter or at Instagram. Both below on Instagram, I have a lot more fitness related content. So let's get into this. Let me share my screen with you guys. Yeah, hope everybody is creating an amazing week so far. It is Tuesday. So I've pulled up a little diagram that I drew here. You guys see this? Okay, perfect. Now, this is going to represent Curve Finance, right? In this box here. And this one here is going to be Uniswap. You may have heard of an AMM. So that's the acronym for Automated Market Maker. These are the DEXs. DEX is just something that is going to be decentralized, so you don't need people involved, but you need a formula to be able to do what people would have done, right? So depending on how you create this mathematical formula, you create a different graph. Do you remember back in statistics where you had your TI-83 calculator? And if you put in one formula, you get one type of graph that shows on the screen. And if you change that formula, you can change how the graph looks. If you remember this, let me know in the chat. Now, this is effectively what Curve has done, where we're going to point out these differences and then talk about why they're so important. If you look at this, Curve is tangent to the line here, right? But between these 2 points. So what does that mean, tangent to the line? Well, actually, let's look it up real quick. Find tangent to line. So this a straight line or plane that touches a curve or curved surface at a point, but if extended, does not cross at that point. So this is where it just touches it, but it doesn't go through the point there. So that's like this, right? And if you take a look at Uniswap, it also touches or is tangent with the line, but the range at which it's tangent to the line is much smaller. And this is solely due to the mathematics used to create the formula. So for Uniswap, it's X times Y equals K, which is a constant. X is the number of tokens of X, like what X would be like asset A, Y would be asset B, and those two times each other equals K, which is the constant. And you get a graph that looks like this one here on the right, versus on Curve, they've changed the formula slightly so that this point here expands. And you're like, what is all this fucking BS you're talking about? Brah, it doesn't even make sense to me. Well, why would that change be valuable? Well, let's run through an example. If somebody were to say do a transaction like myself yesterday, I have no idea what was going on in the market, but this literally happened to me yesterday, and this is why I'm making this video here, so that hopefully this is valuable to somebody in the future if they're going through the same thing. So I had about a $10,000 transaction, and this was in USD, right? And I wanted to swap this into something else, I wanted to go into Ethereum, right? But to do this, when I went to swap it, there was about, I think it was 3.5% slippage, 3.86 was one time, 3.7 something was one time, right? So what does that mean? That means that it's going to cost me 3 fees. It's going to cost me an Ethereum fee, all right? Say that's $8, right? It's going to cost me 0.003%, so 0.3% for Uniswap, right? So 10,000 times 0.003, that's $30. So we have $8 for Uniswap, $30 for, I'm sorry, $8 for Ethereum, $30 for Uniswap. And then the big cost is slippage. That's the cost that you don't see directly, right? $350. This, like, to do a wire transfer from my bank is $25. Right? And I can do a wire transfer for 10 grand or 100 grand, and it's still $25. But this was 3.5% or $350 to do one transaction. And that's just slippage, plus the $30 for Uniswap, plus the $8 network fee for Ethereum. So it was like $388 to do one transaction to switch it into Ethereum. That's like 25% of the value of Ethereum almost, right? One Ethereum is like 1575 or something, right? So 1575 times 0.25 is $390. So that's almost giving up a quarter of one full Ethereum just to fees, right? And I was like, what's going on here? So I was trying to troubleshoot this. Well, let's talk about these. This ties perfectly into here. So on Uniswap, when I'm trying to do my transaction of $10,000, what ends up happening mathematically? Remember when you had your TI-83 calculator and you're like, find a point that is tangent on the line, right? And you punch in things and you try to test it, and you're like, okay, that's close. Let me move, right? Well, what happens when you want to swap $10,000 of one token into $10,000 of another, $10,000 of USD value of another token? You start right here, right where the line is tangent. And then because I'm selling one token and I'm purchasing another token, this line moves off here. So what does that represent? Well, this, if you, let me get rid of a bunch of these lines here. What ends up happening is we move over here. And what this is, well, let's use a different color so it's easier to actually see this. We're going to go with some green. Okay. So we move, because we're doing $10,000, from where the line is tangent to over here. And you see how there's this little gap of a triangle right here, right? What is that? That is slippage. So effectively, when you have X times Y equals K, because they're just multiplicative, they're just multiplying times each other, when you do this, you actually move the graph so that it is not tangent anymore. And that little white circle or the triangle there is the cost of slippage. So this section right here, as in the example we just went through, was the $350, right? This is the slippage because of how the formula is set up. Now, when I saw this and I was like, F this shit, and then I tried it like going from the stablecoin I had to a different stablecoin to see if that would reduce slippage. It was still around 3.5%. I have no idea what was happening in that moment in the market yesterday, but it was enough of an impact for me to be here and making this video. So what I did is I went over to Curve. Right? I did a video on this before. If you want to check out a video on Curve, you can go to the channel and search Curve, Curve FI, curve.fi if you want to check out their DEX. It's like ancient looking, which we can show you in a minute here, but worked perfectly fine. So I took the $10,000 over to Curve, right? But remember their formula, right? You're going to be here in the middle, but a $10,000 move, say, puts us over to here, right? And there's no slippage because it's still tangent on the line. Or if you wanted to go the other direction, here, it's still tangent, which means there's no slippage. Or if you have a larger transaction, the slippage is very small relative to, say, Uniswap, just because of the math, like how the formula actually goes through and calculate this. And so I went over to curve.fi, did the transaction first time using Curve, boom, no slippage. Awesome. Awesome. And I want to share that with you guys. If you're doing a large transaction, or I mean, not that $10,000 is large, I guess, but if you're doing a transaction in a stable coin to something else and there's a lot of slippage, check out curve.fi. FI. I'm going to just show you what it looks like and see if we can potentially go through an example here. So let's pull this up here. This is what their front end looks like. Well, and if you guys have questions about this, just leave them in the chat here. So this is obviously Tether. So say in here to actually cause slippage, I think you'd have to do like 10 million, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 10 million, right? And the price impact is 57, right? So this is slippage here, 57%. But I bet if we go over to Uniswap and we do the exact same thing on Uniswap, I bet the slippage is even higher. Right? So, and the reason I'm doing such high numbers is to exaggerate it and make it look even more extreme versus the 3%. Okay, so this is $10 million here of Tether converting to USD here. And of course it's not in this example here, but trust me, when you actually go through and do it, it is. I have no idea what's going on in the marketplace right now. But for me yesterday, it ended up saving me $350. And I was like, oh, let me share this with people. This is something valuable that I learned yesterday and actually went through and utilized it myself. And I think this would be valuable to other people. So let's say hi to the chat really quick. Unsuitable. Sam is going all in with these streams. Yes, I'm working at doing this. I'm working at creating more content. Green Day, the crypto show, love it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Check out curve.fi. It doesn't look super pretty from the surface, but it is a valuable tool for swapping stablecoins. And another thing that I will probably do this tomorrow or the next day or in the future video, but what is liquidity providing like on Curve, right? Because what if you provide liquidity on Uniswap between, say, Tether and USDC, right? Then you don't have, quote, impermanent loss because the USD value of your positions is going to stay the same, right? So, but the returns are extremely low because everybody's like, yeah, let me do that. But when you look at Curve, because Curve's interface is garbage, yeah, it's just not super user friendly, right? when you increase like the perceived friction for a customer and the user interface of Curve, because let me show you Curve's interface again. It looks like, 1995 Windows, interface, right? Like this is not like super cool, simple. Yeah, I mean, we all understand this if we use Uniswap, but it's not as clean, it's not as simple looking. There's a big opportunity to improve, and this is the improved version. Like as you can see here on the top, it used to look like utter garbage. Like you would never want to use this site because you would think you're going to get scammed. This is what it used to look like. Let me pull this up here, see if I can share. Oh, let me see here. Classic. I'm going to try to put into what the old UI used to look like. Yes, this is the old UI. This was utter garbage. Try using this. This would scare you to like not using their platform because it was so trashy. But it is a valuable tool out there that you can utilize when appropriate. But the point is, if you could earn say 5% a month, or say everybody who's earning about 8% a month, right? So he has 2 stable coins that he's earning 8% a month on. So think about this. Hypothetically, if somebody were to do a cash advance on a credit card, take money out of a HELOC, refinance their house with a cash out refi, do something, right, where they have a fixed rate of, even if on a credit card is 20% annually, and they were to pull $20,000 out, and then they took $10,000 and they put it into one stable coin, and then $10,000 of another stable coin, and they decided to provide liquidity on Curve, and they were able to earn, let's just say 4%, right? My buddy's earning 8%, but let's say you're earning 4%, right? So if you take $20,000 times 4% per month, that's $800 a month on 20 grand for 4%, right? How much is the payment going to be on $20,000 in a credit card at 18 to 19 to 20%? Maybe $300, maybe $350, right? Maybe $400 if you're trying to be conservative. That means you could take $20,000, put into five, and this is not like a recommendation or endorsement that you do any of the things that I'm talking about. This is just for entertainment and educational purposes. But hypothetically, if somebody were to take 20 grand on a credit card, right? Think about this. You have to really understand what you're doing. And if you fuck shit up and you lose the 20 grand, you, my friend, are responsible for that. So like, just think about this before you decide if this is something you would want to do. You take $20,000, earn 4% a month. The value of your portfolio doesn't change. Like I have LP set up that, 2 weeks ago was $18,000. And now it's $14,000 because the 2 tokens that I have that I'm providing LP in have come down in value. So I had $18,000 2 weeks ago. Now it's at like $12,000 or $13,000 because the value of the tokens has changed, right? Still earning, 10 to 25% a month, like massive, right? Still cool. Matt, I'm not going to change it. But that psychological thing is that people provide LP and then they see the value of what they put in changing, right? And that fucks with people's minds. Well, with Curve, if you can earn 4% a month, right, that would be enough to pay the bill on the credit card because you're earning 800%. 4% of $20,000 is $800. That's enough to pay the bill twice, right? So you can pay that off very quickly and you still have your $20,000. Or another way to think about this is free money, right? Touch on a couple more of these. Jay, good morning. Hello, class is in session. I like that. I see Curve helps a specific strike price to minimize slippage. I reckon Curve's initial fee is higher, but at a certain point, Curve is lower. So fees on Curve are actually pretty low. Let me see if I can pull it up for you again one more time. Hello, Pierre. Okay, so if you look at this, what's the fee? Slippage here. They have the fee up here. I think it's 0.01%. So if you do the math on it, that's 0.0001 times whatever dollar value you're doing. So like if I was trying to do $10,000 times 0.0001, that's my fee to transfer $10,000 into something else, right? Would be $1. So very, very cheap. I thought they were listed here somewhere, but I don't think. So I saw them here before. I don't know where they are, but they're on here somewhere. Maybe pools. Let's click on the pool here. See fee. This pool here has ETH and staked ETH, right? So this pool here is two volatile assets. They have the 0.04% fee and 0.02% fee. Let's try like this here. This is DAI, USDC, and Tether. Here it is 0.01 fee plus 0.05% fee, right? So this is a total on, so this is going to be like $6 on 10,000, I think. 10,000 times 0.0006. Yeah, $6 for $10,000. Like my bank charged me $25 to transfer a wire fee of $40, right? Like that's very low on fees, which is great, right? Base APY, today's trading activity. So you can calculate, I think, how much you would earn in these pools, which we'll have to get into in a future video. I haven't done enough research on it personally. I haven't heard of Curve before. Check it out. The user interface is garbage, but it's good. Celt Hacks, morning. Deaf Hands, finally catch you live. Hey, sweet, awesome. Appreciate you, bro. Pulsonian, Sam, what pool or pair tokens you recommend for small liquidity providers? I think let's define what you mean by small liquidity. If it's less than, say, $2,000, it might be, and you've never done it before, it may be better to try. Well, if you're at $2,000, you use Uniswap. I personally would go through Uniswap V3, right? These are from my points of view. You should like continue to educate and learn and grow, right? But $2,000, I would personally use Uniswap V3. At say $1,000, I would either add more capital to get it 2,000 or set up like an LP position with a wider range, because you don't want it to go outside of the range because it's going to eat up the fees, right? So if you have to adjust an LP position in V3, you got to pay 3 fees: withdraw, swap, and then putting your position back on. So say that's $10 per pop on Ethereum, right? That's $30. And if you're doing $1,000, you don't want to have to adjust your position when you've only made $16, right? Because then you're out $14 and you don't want that to happen. So like doing a slightly wider range. If you're under $1,000, you could do the same thing, but do even a wider range. The smaller the liquidity, the wider the range because of the fees. Or you can try a different network, like switch over to Polygon, use like, I think multi-chain bridge, I think is one of the most popular ones. And you could swap over to Matic and then try on a different platform where fees are a lot less. I mean, or for earning fee, yes, I think hopefully that answered your question. Like the old Curve though, it was dope in my opinion. Hell yeah. I never used it. So the now it's garbage. I never used it. It was like intimidating to me to try to use that interface because it was so like 1995 looking. Windows 1995, that like Curve's UI was just like, ooh, I feel like I'm gonna fuck something up because it doesn't seem like normal relative to user interfaces of 2022. OB, good morning, OB. Wait, Uniswap is 0.3% and 0.1% on Curve. Why would anyone use Uniswap? Well, not necessarily. So it depends on the pool that you're trying to swap between. If you're swapping between Tether and say USDC on Uniswap, it probably most of the volume is going to be in the 0.1% fee pool, but there's going to be some in the 0.3% pool. And it varies. It will probably trend down towards the 0.1%, but remember, 0.1%, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think there's also a pool where it's 0.01%, similar to Curve, but then you deal with the effects of the LP, like the effects of the mathematics behind the AMM formula. On Uniswap, it allows for more slippage. On a Curve, it allows for less slippage. Curve you can think of as almost like if you go to Uniswap and you see like slippage when you're trying to swap from like a stable to say Ethereum, or swapping two different stables, and you see slippage, like say probably above 0.5%, then you should probably either wait, because clearly it's working today when yesterday it wasn't working for me, or go to Curve and test it out. Super easy to use. And then don't forget to disconnect your wallet from the site. Steven, good morning. Lovely solar deep dives. Hey, I appreciate you, bro. Obi, what do you think about providing only one token as liquidity? This is more waiting on higher, lower prices. So you can't really do that. So with V3, you can provide liquidity with one token. But the semantics of how that works is that, say, for example, it was wrapped BTC and Ethereum, right? And you have Ethereum and you don't have any wrapped BTC. Well, you can create an LP position and just add your Ethereum to that, right? And you're like, cool, then I don't have to worry about impermanent loss, right? This is, I think, what a lot of people think about. Well, the issue behind that is that you aren't going to earn any fees because you're in a single-sided position. So if you want to do like a range order, if you want to learn what a range order is, like go to the channel, search the videos. By the way, if anybody does want to learn more about LP, check out the channel. I created a playlist, and there's probably like a couple hours of the content in the playlist. After checking Uniswap, it depends on the token fee. Yes, sir. It really depends on that. Have you tried to mint DAI? I think you can lock your funds and use minted or borrowed DAI, and then you swap for USDC or other tokens. So I have not minted DAI. From my understanding, you have to over collateralize the position to mint DAI. What does that mean? And I could be wrong in here, but this is from my understanding. If I have, say, $10,000 worth of Ethereum and I would like to have DAI, what I can do is keep my Ethereum, go to the MakerDAO and submit my Ethereum into a smart contract that allows me to mint DAI. But if I have $10,000, I can probably only mint, say, 7,500 DAI, or maybe 6,000 DAI, right? So there's $4,000 which I can't touch, right? But then again, I'm not selling my position, right? So from a tax perspective, that could be beneficial, right? Because if I had Ethereum and it was at 5,000 when I bought it, and now it's at 10,000, and I want to touch some of that equity in there, if I sell it, then that creates a tax liability here in the United States. Now, if I put it into DAI and I borrow the DAI against my position, then that borrowing here in the US is not a taxable event, right? So it could be beneficial from there, but from a capital efficiency standpoint, it's not extremely capital efficient because I can only say touch 50% of the value in there. And that wraps up with the questions. I have to go to the gym. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back here at 11 a.m. EST with GRC. So check back on this channel. Press the subscribe button. If you enjoy this type of content and you have friends in crypto, take a second, press the share button, send this video to your friends in crypto, build deeper relationships with other friends in crypto. It will be very valuable to you. Then when you have a question, when you're trying to move forward, when you don't understand something, you can touch base with these friends in crypto and learn faster and grow faster and help them learn and grow faster. So highly recommend making some friends with people in crypto. Appreciate all of you guys. Last question here. Unsuitable, thanks for the tip. Using limit orders suffice for the time being, but we'll consider using Curve for market orders. Anyways, heading to TradeFi markets. Catch you later. Yeah, limit orders, you still have to pay slippage. So if you don't want to pay slippage, try potentially, if you're interested or curious, try a range order and see if you can get a range order to work so that you don't have to pay slippage at all. It's nice getting to hear you explain without being cut off every 30 seconds. I appreciate it, Stephen. Have a good one. So I appreciate you guys. I will be back in a couple hours heading to the gym. Love you.